Camping, I really wanted to. I need to talk to Ashley and say ask on a market regarding the fact. Oh. You know you're gonna have that much. You just need to like. I don't really listen to you. I like stuff like
What one?
Closer than you.
You know, for E é também o mais.
Waiting to see which one opens first.
انت شو صار فيك روحت ولا وصلت على خير ولا؟
Where are we going, Ziva? I couldn't find it.
मेरे पिछले जूते खराब हो I'm just the baby just running Miara.
Yeah, so what they've done is they've tried to get rid of disposable bearings.
They send it to them.
Ciao,
No, you didn't have it.
مرة
Verano, así, los meses de mayo.
Fair enough. And
It's only in your machine. When you have to wash it today.
Ja,